Thank you very much. I want to start by condemning, without equivocation, the unjustified and unprovoked tariffs that President Trump has now announced against our auto sector. These tariffs will damage his workers and his economy, just as they will damage ours. We must retaliate and target goods and services that we don't need, can buy elsewhere, or make ourselves to maximize the impact on the Americans while minimizing the impact on ourselves. But before I go any further about these unjustified tariffs and how we're going to respond to them, let me speak to the workers in the auto sector. You're afraid right now. You're anxious. You wonder how you're going to pay your mortgage or put food on the table. You're thinking about the conversations you may need to have with your little children about whether they can register for next year's hockey or this summer's soccer. You don't know if you'll be able to stay in the same city or what's going to happen to your future. Canada will be there for you. We will be there for you. We will ensure that you have income replacement to put food on the table and money in your bank account. We'll make sure that businesses directly affected will have the liquidity they need to get through this dispute. And we will unite as Canadians to protect our affected sectors. But more than that, we need to become strong, self-reliant, sovereign, so that we can stand on our own 2 feet and stand up to the Americans. What is clear is that 10 years of economic weakness have made us more reliant than ever on the Americans. 75% of our exports go to one country. Almost all of our energy, most of our raw materials go south because we can't get them anywhere else. We need to take drastic action to build an economic fortress in Canada, able to reach other markets around the world, repealing the anti-pipeline law, rapidly building LNG liquefaction plants, mines, factories, expanding and making our ports functional so that we can move our goods to other places around the world, knocking down the barriers between our provinces so that we can trade with ourselves for a change. Passing a bring it home tax cut on work, investment, home building, and energy to make this the best place in the world to bring back the $500 billion that Liberals pushed out of the country over the last decade. Then and only then will we be able to properly stand up to the Americans and stand up for ourselves. Now is not a time for weakness. Now is not a time to continue on with the failures that got us into this place of dependency. Now is the time to take back control and relaunch our economy so that we can confront the President's unjustified threats and tariffs in a position of strength. We will do this for our people, for our land, for our home, for Canada first, for a change. Thank you very much. I'm English, yes. So the question was, will it be programs or tax cuts that will help? Well, we're going to need both. We will need to cut taxes for people who still have their jobs so that in this typical time where costs have been rising out of control for a decade, they can actually pay their bills and spend in local businesses who will then be able to hire and keep employees on. Tax cuts are one of the best ways to stimulate economic growth and to counteract the downward pressure that these tariffs will put on our economy. While President Trump puts a tax on our economy through tariffs, the federal government should cut taxes to counteract that and let our taxpayers, our small businesses, our seniors, and our workers have more money to spend and grow our economy. But there will be some people who lose their jobs and they will need to have employment insurance. We will make sure that that is flexible enough to give them the food on the table and a way forward, the training they need to get into a new job if necessary. And we need work sharing. The work sharing program is a phenomenal way. We got through the great global recession with the work sharing program that allowed companies to reduce hours instead of laying people off, and then compensated those employees who had less salaried hours with some EI. That's a way to keep them connected to their employer so that when we come out of this, they still have a job.
Mr. Carney.
Oh yes, the message to President Trump should be to knock it off. We had the best trade relationship in the world, in the history of the world, before these unnecessary interruptions struck our economy. And they are hurting both sides of the border. They will kill American jobs, and they will erase American prices, and then we will be necessarily have to retaliate. He should lift these tariffs, and but whether or not he does, because he's changed his mind before, he's done this twice, puts them on, takes them off, and we can suspect that may well happen again. We have to become more self-reliant and have new and different markets so that we no longer rely on or depend on what is becoming an increasingly undependable customer. Thank you.